In the vast and legendary annals of modern fantasy literature and cinematic history, few antagonistic figures command the same chilling atmosphere of absolute terror and psychological fascination as Lord Voldemort. For millions of devoted fans across the globe, he who must not be named represents the ultimate personification of pure, calculated evil, a dark force whose very name was feared so intensely that the wizarding world completely refused to speak it aloud for decades. Yet to truly understand the monstrous entity that nearly brought the magical community to its absolute ruin, one must look far beyond the snake-like visage and the deadly green flash of the killing curse to examine the deeply tragic, complex and human origins of Tom Riddle. His story begins not with a glorious lineage of darkness, but with a deeply pathetic and manipulative union driven by a magical love potion known as immortality. His mother, Merope Gaunt, a descendant of Salazar Slytherin, used this chemical deception to ensnare a wealthy Muggle squire named Tom Riddle Sr. This artificial, completely loveless union left a profound, almost biological scar on the child conceived beneath its influence, as literary lore suggests that being born from a forced illusion of love rendered Tom Riddle psychologically and spiritually incapable of ever understanding or experiencing genuine human empathy. Left abandoned and completely destitute when the love potion wore off and his horrified father fled, Merope gave birth to her son on a freezing New Year's Eve at Wool's orphanage in London, dying mere moments later. Growing up during the bleak years of the Great Depression, young Tom Riddle quickly realised that he was profoundly different from the ordinary children around him. Long before he discovered the existence of a hidden wizarding world, he learned to consciously control his innate mystical abilities with a terrifying degree of precision. He could move heavy objects with his mind, inflict intense physical pain on the orphans who crossed him, manipulate animals, and uniquely converse with serpents in their own hissing language. During these dark, formative years, Tom developed a deep-seated hatred for the common human world, a narcissistic belief in his own superiority, and a bizarre, obsessive habit of stealing small, mundane tokens from his childhood victims to lock away in his wardrobe like morbid war trophies, a psychological trait that directly foreshadowed his future obsession with collecting legendary objects to store his fractured soul. The trajectory of Tom Riddle's life was changed forever when Albus Dumbledore arrived at the orphanage to officially offer him a place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. This initial meeting established a profound, lifelong psychological battle, as Dumbledore immediately recognized the young boy's chilling arrogance, his cold detachment from humanity, and his dangerous instinct for cruelty. Upon arriving at Hogwarts, Tom was sorted into Slytherin House, where he meticulously constructed a flawless, highly charismatic public facade that entirely deceived almost the entire faculty. To the professors, he appeared to be a brilliantly gifted, exceptionally polite, and deeply impoverished orphan destined for greatness. But beneath this polished exterior, he was actively gathering a fiercely loyal cult of radical pure-blood students who would eventually become the core of his Death Eaters. Tom became obsessed with uncovering his magical heritage, eventually discovering his direct blood connection to Salazar Slytherin, which led him to locate and open the mythical Chamber of Secrets during his 5th year at the castle, resulting in the tragic death of Moaning Myrtle, an event Tom cold-bloodedly used to frame the innocent Rubeus Hagrid. It was during his brilliant academic years at Hogwarts that Tom Riddle made the profound decision to completely erase his Muggle heritage, reorganizing the letters of his birth name into the famous, terrifying anagram, "I am Lord Voldemort," a linguistic declaration of his intent to conquer death itself and reshape the entire wizarding world in his image. Driven by an all-consuming pathological phobia of mortality, which he viewed as a pathetic human weakness, Voldemort became deeply obsessed with the darkest corners of magical lore, discovering the secrets of the Horcrux, a horrific magical process that allows a wizard to achieve immortality by fracturing their soul through the act of murder. While the cinematic film adaptations heavily streamlined this complex historical journey to maintain a fast narrative pace, the original novels delve extensively into the brilliant dark lore surrounding the creation of these vessels. Through the memories Dumbledore collected in his Pensieve, we learn that Voldemort systematically tracked down and brutally murdered his own Muggle father in Little Hangleton to frame his magical uncle, using his death to create his first Horcrux out of the ancient Marvolo gaunt ring. He then callously manipulated and murdered a wealthy collector named Hepzibah Smith to steal two of the most legendary relics in magical history, Salazar Slytherin's locket and Helga Hufflepuff's cup, turning these priceless artifacts into hidden anchors for his spirit. As Lord Voldemort continued to mutilate his own spiritual essence to create a total of 7 Horcruxes, his physical appearance underwent a gradual, nightmarish transformation, stripping away his handsome features and replacing them with a terrifyingly pale, snake-like countenance that mirrored the utter rot of his internal morality. By the time he launched the First Wizarding War, he had abandoned all traces of humanity, unleashing a devastating campaign of terror and pure-blood supremacy that pushed the Ministry of Magic to the brink of collapse. His followers weaponized fear by casting the ominous dark mark into the night sky above the homes of their victims, creating an atmosphere of paranoia where no wizard knew whom to trust. This reign of absolute terror seemed completely unstoppable until Voldemort made a fatal mistake by believing a mystical prophecy delivered by Sybil Trelawney, foretelling the birth of a child with the power to vanquish him. Believing the prophecy referred to Harry Potter, Voldemort travelled to Godric's Hollow in 1981, murdering James and confronting Lily Potter, whose sacrifice caused the killing curse to violently rebound, destroying Voldemort's physical body and forcing him into 13 years of exile in Albania. His return began when he corrupted Professor Quirrell, but his physical resurrection was achieved in the graveyard of Little Hangleton through a dark ritual using the bone of his father, the flesh of his servant, and the blood of his enemy. Fans note a visual difference here. While the movies gave him cold blue eyes, J.K. Rowling's novels describe Voldemort as possessing glowing red eyes with vertical slits, emphasizing his transition into something reptilian. The Second Wizarding War culminated in his takeover of the Ministry, but Voldemort's downfall was ensured by his arrogance and ignorance of wand allegiance. His quest to claim the Elder Wand led him to murder Severus Snape, falsely believing this secured its mastery. In reality, the wand's true allegiance belonged to Harry Potter. During their final confrontation at the Battle of Hogwarts, the weapon refused to harm its true master, causing the killing curse to rebound one final time. Deprived of his Horcruxes, Lord Voldemort died an ordinary mortal death, proving his flight from mortality was entirely in vain. Thank you for exploring the dark history of Lord Voldemort with me today. If this deep dive gave you a fresh perspective, please hit the like button to support our community. Do you think Voldemort was born evil, or did his environment shape his destiny? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss our character deep dives. Until next time, stay vigilant.